Are you having trouble getting people to call you back? Or worse yet, you go through the entire process, prep the pitch, do the presentation, and they say, you know what, let me think about it, I'll get back to you, and then they go ghost. I'm talking about just ghost. Like, they no longer answer their phone, there's no response to your emails anymore. Everything was all cool until you presented your product and your price, and now they just don't need you anymore. If that's an issue that you have currently right now, you're going to want to watch this video. I'm going to share with you some techniques that I have found work and I've also done myself, including seen my own team do and get favorable results from. And so I hope to share this information with you so that you can remove that portion of your grind from your day. And just like other video topics that I have on here, there's nuggets of gold sprinkled in with past experiences that I've had and why it works. And of course, this is a common request that I get to the email help@salesremaster.com, and it's that, you know, they're just not getting any responses back anymore. How do they help themselves avoid wasting time? And of course it ranges. You know, I have loan officers that contact me saying they do 80 outbound calls a day, and of those 80 outbound calls, you know, less than 10% actually make a connection. And so, you know, less than 10%, in other words, are responding back. And, you know, this week, fortunately, is outbound week, meaning that I'm covering different solutions, strategies, techniques, wordplay, scripting that you can use in your origination efforts, because you have two lanes of traffic, right? The primary lane, the common lane, is your dialer, your internet leads, your inbound inquiries. That's the common lead type, where most of your traction that you'll actually get back is actually from the outbound. And so let me explain that. So when an inbound calls in, they are in the midst of shopping. It's like they're at the mall, right? And they have just all these options. Imagine being at a mall or a town center, and every single storefront being a competitor, all businesses doing the same exact things. And so when a prospect inquires and enters into this shopping or comparing or does an online inquiry, we have to realize that a few things happen. Number one is you need to know that your prospect is going to create a trigger, which is basically a notification not only to their current servicer that you inquired on their credit, right? Because we need to ask their servicer, we need to ask their mortgage company how their payments are doing. And so of course that mortgage company is notified because they need to report that information back to us on our report, or the credit bureaus, right? In the same light, that prospect will also send a trigger to your competitors. And so you have competitors who are buying what's called trigger leads. And these are people who inquired for different types of loans, credit card loans, car loans, credit card, lines of credit. And this also sets a chain reaction of other people calling that same exact lead. And why most traction is picked up on the outbound is because typically when you do an outbound, it should be about a week to 2 weeks after you've made your presentation. And so if you consider on average the salesman, doesn't necessarily do outbound calls, they'll do a pitch. If that person doesn't buy, then the salesman will move on to the next one. So it's always this churn and burn type of relationship with these leads. And if you don't understand how to approach each specific lane of traffic, whether outbound or inbound, you're going to treat it the same way. Churn and burn. And so the moral of this story and the whole punchline of this story is really to help you get called back, get curiosity, get some sort of engagement in return from your prospects. And what I've found is that you're going to find most through outbounds, because after that, that initial week or 2 weeks, whether they bought the product and started the service or process with someone else, one of your competitors, or they just put it on the back burner because they're receiving so many calls, Or worse yet, they received so many calls, did so many applications, and found that they could not qualify. And we have to be careful as salesmen, because once we hear a hint of interest, we want to make the deal, right? Right? Like we're good. You know what I mean? Like, oh man, this person wants to go. Let's lock. You know, I need a number on the board. I need to build that confidence. I need that momentum. My fucking manager is sweating me. I need to put a number up. And so the hint of interest from our prospect, we fucking almost, you know what I mean? Like we feel it. We feel elated because it is something that we're searching for. Subconsciously, we're searching all day for someone who is interested in buying our product. And depending on our mind state, depending on our experience, we are going to be gullible for these signs. Unless we are prepared, and unless we do the practicing, the refining, the studying of our craft and reference our experiences, where we understand that, hey, if you are more than happy to go with me after you just did an inquiry, after you told me no 2 weeks ago, then I gotta have enough EQ to pick up on the fact that they may have been declined for the past 2 weeks. And so if this person didn't let me pull a credit, now all of a sudden, now you calling me back and want to move forward. And all of a sudden you got your documents ready. Like, what? Why you got your documents ready? You know, there are things that we could pick up in the conversation that can actually position us favorably, such as if they know that they're in the process, or if we know that they're in the process with someone else, we know that they have the documents compiled and already stacked. We know that if they made a soft copy, they could just forward us a copy of that attachment, and now we have a full file. We also know that as a salesman, if I presented my manager with a full file, I showed them a PIW, or I showed them that this person is ready to go, I have more leverage to gain a pricing exception from my manager. More so, when I get that pricing exception from my manager, I'm already presetting the frame for my client. And so in other words, I'm dropping hints of no lender fee. Your lender fee might be $1,000, might be $2,000, but that doesn't include title, escrow, or appraisal. And so I know that in order to cover my lender fee, let's say I need $1,000 lender credit, I'm shooting for $3,000. I'm shooting for no closer. And why is because I know that if I don't get a no closer, but I get, let's say, $2,000 back, well, I'm already 2 times more effective than what I've been sharing with my prospect about no lender fee. I understand also, because I have my EQ up, that my prospect hears no lender fee, and they use I use the assumption, the power of assumption, because they're assuming I'm talking about no fees at all. And so when I do the presentation and I give them a call back and I say, hey, you know what, I mentioned I can get the lender fee waived. I got that for you. But here's the thing is I need to verify that you still qualified for it. So let me get your documents first. Let me validate you're approved, and then I'll go ahead and confirm that I can issue out that $1,000. And then when this prospect tells me that they're still shopping or comparing or talking it over, what I'm gonna do is figure out what their bottom line is, what the results they wanted to see was. And so if I find out that their results that they just didn't get to see in my presentation was maybe a lower rate, a lower payment, or a lower cost, then I can hone in and zero in and also take that extra $1,000 in lender credit that I had in my back pocket because I wasn't so order taking, and in that order taking mind state. I was more or less being creative and kind of buying my outs, if you will, before I even got in. And so now I know that I have an extra $1,000 in lender credit that I could put towards a lower interest rate, or I could put towards lowering their cost. And now when I have an idea to this prospect, it's no longer a pitch. Meaning, if they won't bite at $1,000 because they just want more lender credit, then I can say, I have an idea. If you can get me your documents by this time tomorrow or first thing tomorrow morning, I can present your file in front of my manager and tell him that you deserve it because you qualify and we have a full file. And then we can start process rather quickly. Assuming there are no delays, we're going to get everything completed, done, and behind you. And if you get me these documents tomorrow, I'm going to ask for 2 times the amount of lender credit. So I'm going to ask for an additional $1,000. But that's only if we can get a full file, and only if I can verify and show my manager that we got this full completed file. I did my research, I did my homework, and we're ready to go. And see how they operate for that. You'll be amazed how people will operate more, efficiently, and also with more urgency if they believe they're going to lose something, right? Or on the flip side, if they believe they can get more, then they may just do that extra something. And you're going to need the documents anyway, so why not leverage the fact you need those documents? Same thing with your disclosure. I think disclosure is a silent weapon. We're quick to release out a disclosure. We're quick to give out pricing, and we're quick to do a lot of things and give a lot of information. And I believe that's why a lot of them don't call us back, is because your voice message sounds like a sales presentation, or your initial sales conversation sounds like your order taking. And so right from the very beginning, when they're asking you for the lowest rate, you're going towards your lowest rate. You're jumping into pricing as if they qualify for that loan, as if you know what they want, when you don't know what they want. When you realize what they want, you discover what they want, you figure out through creativity how to create a solution, so you build a bridge that they can use to get to where they want. And you effectively communicate how this is their vehicle to get to where they want. Then you build loyalty, then you build a sale, then you close. But see, there's a lot of impatience that comes with it, because again, we are in that churn and burn mentality. And so if they don't buy right up front, or if they give me an objection right up front, then that must mean they don't want to buy. But in all reality, the objection is just a concern as to why they're hesitating on buying from you. They wouldn't have a concern if they never considered buying from you. Does that make sense? So the fact that they're giving you an objection, be grateful and utilize your tone in a way where they feel that you're not being defensive. They can hear it in your tone that you have nothing to hide. And the same thing goes with your sales presentation. You have to present it in a way where they just know you're good people, right? They have to present it in a way where if I heard you talking on the phone, I wouldn't know if you're talking to your own mom or your grandma, just because the way you were connecting with that person, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna look out for you. Some of you motherfuckers watching this are pretty rude to your mom, so I hope you don't talk to them that way. Like, like, hey mom, are you gonna fucking take it, mom? Meatloaf. You know what I'm talking about. So I hope that this video makes sense, and I hope that you can take some bits of gold from it and put it into your day, put it into your efforts, and ideally reduce the amount of grind that you have to face. And it's all about making noise in a different way. It's all about teetering to their emotions. It's all about communicating to the side of them that will continue talking to them when you leave the picture, when you're off the phone, or when you're not around. You've connected with that nerve, that emotion, that inner voice of your prospect that continues to spark that curiosity, that continues to tell them, hey, call Daniel back, ask him this. Or, hey, do you remember what Daniel said? Hey, Daniel said that. Hey, Daniel. Damn, Daniel. But yeah, so you want to get on that level, and check out my next video, because I'm going to share with you an effective voice message that you can use, and an effective technique you can use to get the call back. Because again, there are going to be times where they still go ghost. And so I want you to be prepared with the proper script, a proper technique and wording to leave a message, send an email in a specific way. You're going to get a call back. You're going to increase your chances of them calling you back and being eager beavers on what you got to say. That is on my next video. That's going to be video 3 of 5 on the outbound week. Of course, today's Tuesday, so I wish you a happy Tuesday, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.